One toddler drowns and her twin is clinging to life, the latest from investigators.
Swimming is very important, and the dangers behind swimming can be very scary.
And what lifeguards say you need to know about keeping kids safe in the water.
Strong storms are beginning to develop over Kentucky, and later tonight they'll be making their way into East Tennessee. We'll have that severe weather potential for you coming up.
The number of hemp producers has nearly tripled in the past year. Why the Department of Agriculture wants Tennessee to be a leader in that industry.
A former Vol finds his passion during a difficult time.
The tradition here, the pride here is just amazing. It's probably one of the coolest experiences that I've had.
How he's making an impact on young athletes in East Tennessee.
10 News is brought to you in high definition exclusively by Harper Auto Square. WBIR 10 News starts now.
One toddler is dead and her twin brother is on life support after drowning in a West Knox County pool. This happened after 10 o'clock this morning at a private pool on Fox Lunas Road. A babysitter was caring for the almost 2-year-old twins. She told deputies she found them in the deep end of the pool after another child arrived at the home. The Knox County Sheriff's Office and the Department of Children's Services are investigating.
This drowning is among several that we have reported this summer. 10 News reporter Gabrielle Hayes spoke with a swim safety expert about the importance of teaching children to swim and how to stay safe in the water. Gabrielle.
Robin and John, the health and well-being coordinator at the YMCA, says you can start children in swim lessons when they're still babies.
There's a lot of dangers going on, whether it's deep water or even in the pool. There is that unknown.
YMCA Health and Wellbeing Coordinator Heather Roberts stresses the idea of teaching kids to swim as early as possible.
Swimming is very important, and the dangers behind swimming can be very scary. So being able to teach the kid at an early age how to swim is very important.
The YMCA offers swim lessons to small children and babies at the majority of its locations.
We start our ages from 6 months and up, so we start with parent-child classes.
In those first lessons, kids and babies are taught to swim on their backs.
Being able to teach the kids how to float on their back so they can, be able to float long enough until someone can get to them, or they can get enough energy in them and roll back over and swim to the side.
Roberts says it's also important to understand teaching kids to swim has a lot to do with spotting them before they need help.
If you see somebody that's out there struggling, they're not making forward progression, more than likely an incident will happen.
And the lessons don't end with parents and kids. The YMCA says training is ongoing for lifeguards.
And we just don't want anything to happen to any of the kids. And so we do audit the guards all the time just to keep them acclimated and to pay attention to not just what's on top of the surface, but what's below the surface.
The YMCA says it's never too late to sign your kid up for swimming lessons. The opportunity is open to everyone. Robin and John.
So important for them. All right, Gabrielle, thank you.
We're going to move to the forecast. Beautiful day out there today, but we are going to see a turn right now. Looks nice, doesn't it? But you can see what's on Skywatch 10 radar, and that is lurking to our north, but also we're going to see some storms as they roll into East Tennessee overnight.
That's right. You're keeping an eye on it. We are in the Weather Center with Cassie Nall, and yeah, this is something that's going to be playing out in the overnight hours.
Yeah, coming in late tonight and then overnight. So what we're really encouraging to everybody is just to have a way to receive the watches, the alerts, the advisories, the warnings, because we need to be able to reach you if these storms do end up developing and do end up moving through, especially late at night. Maybe after you've gone to bed. You got to have a way to receive the information if it is needed to be, if you need to take action and take shelter. Right now, the red box that you see there up in Kentucky, that's a tornado watch box. And then the yellow is a severe thunderstorm watch box. Both of those just to the north of our viewing area. It does actually include Laurel County, Kentucky. But notice how the storms are starting to fire back off towards the west, right along I-65, a little bit further to the south of that big cluster. That is what we expect to be the tail end of those storms, and that will eventually be dropping down here into East Tennessee later tonight. Right now, all is quiet, but don't be fooled by that tonight. Our Futurecast shows the showers and storms making their way onto the plateau beginning as early as 9 p.m., but it actually could end up being later, anywhere from 9 to midnight. Those storms could begin to arrive into southeast Kentucky and onto the plateau, then continuing down to the east-southeast into the valley by around midnight, and then overnight, this particular model shows kind of a redevelopment resurgence of those storms. So this is something that we could be talking about well into around 3 to 4, maybe even 5 a.m. before everything starts to calm back down. And then again, tomorrow afternoon, we'll see redevelopment of showers and storms across the area. The main threat will be from the potential for strong to damaging winds that could knock down some trees and power lines as well. We'll talk more about the potential for this severe weather and of course keep you up to date online and on our social media pages on Twitter and Facebook. Please check back for updates and have a way to receive that information. I'll have more coming up.
Cassie, we'll see you shortly. Thank you.
A Louisiana family is suing a Gatlinburg attraction for $50,000, claiming the company gave them water contaminated with E. coli and norovirus. That suit claims the family got sick after drinking water at Climeworks Zipline Canopy Tour back on July 5th. That was 4 days before the Tennessee Department of Health linked more than 500 reported cases of gastrointestinal illness to the company. The state later said its tests of the water on July 5th were positive for E. coli. Last week, the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation told Climeworks in a letter it violated rules by being identified as a source of waterborne emergency and operating a public water system without notifying state officials before placing the new system in operation. TDEC says Climeworks must give weekly water samples starting next month. It also thanked the company for the changes it's already made.
The Smoky Mountain Opry is now facing more than $20,000 in penalties after a fatal carbon dioxide release. One of the theater technicians, Josh Ellis, died back in March after he was exposed to CO2 connected to a fog machine. 2 other employees were hospitalized after trying to rescue Ellis, but they later recovered. After an investigation, the Tennessee Occupational Safety and Health Administration says the theater didn't have proper alarms or monitoring equipment to warn employees of high CO2 levels. TOSHA also says employees were not properly trained in the hazards of CO2 and proper emergency procedures. The theater faces 12 total penalties, 9 of which authorities say are serious.
After almost 5 full days of questioning a jury, it is set in the rape trial of 2 former Vols. A.J. Johnson and Michael Williams are accused of raping a woman at Johnson's apartment in November of 2014. Both say they are innocent. The majority of the jurors are white. There is 1 Asian man and 1 Hispanic woman. Most are also women, and the majority are over the age of 40. The trial is set to start at 10 o'clock Monday morning.
We continue to see suspected overdose deaths tick up in our county. The District Attorney General's office in the county of Knox says 17 people have died of suspected overdoses since the beginning of this month. 171 died so far this year. Almost 300 people died of an overdose in all of last year. There is, though, a simple way you can help.
A good portion of this day, we have been collecting unused prescriptions for our medication take-back. 10 News reporter Mark Salinger is live in our back parking lot. Let's get a count from you. How much have we collected so far, Mark?
Robin and John, 575 pounds. That's how many pounds of prescription drugs that we collected here today to be disposed of correctly, incinerated, and taken off the streets. And one quote that I think will stick with me today throughout all this is one of the volunteers looked down at one of the buckets full of pills and said, well, that's your opioid epidemic right there. That's what's killing people. And that just, I think, will stick with me. And another woman who came by here today said, I'm getting rid of my prescription pills because I was addicted to them at one point. Let's hear what she had to say.
I don't want anybody addicted to that stuff.
It's bad.
I don't want anybody to be addicted to any drugs, you know. I take a lot of prescription medicine and I'm trying to get off a bunch of it.
And bringing them here to a medication take-back like we had today helps get those pills off the streets, out of the wrong hands, and disposed of correctly by the Knoxville Police Department. So really, 575 pounds, it's more than we collected last year by a long shot. Last year we got 350 pounds. So we just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody who came out here today to get those prescription drugs off the streets and hopefully can save some lives and hopefully help some people. Robin and John, we'll send it back to you.
Certainly, a lot of people listened and responded, Mark. Thank you. And if you do need help, we have a list of resources online at WBIR.com. Just go to the menu at the top of the screen and click the Features tab, then scroll down and choose OD Epidemic.
The construction of a multi-million-dollar ministry complex is now underway in the Lonsdale community. The Emerald Youth Foundation broke ground on the $10 million center today. It will feature 2 full-size soccer fields, 2 gyms with basketball courts, and a performing arts area. The families who are funding the project say Lonsdale is the perfect location.
There's so many more good things going on here than we hear about, and lots of good people that live right here.
Mayor Madeline Rojero says the city will invest about $1 million for sidewalks and other infrastructure around the center. The project is expected to be finished by the end of this year.
The votes are in and the expectations are low. We're talking cellar low for the Vol football team. Media days wrapping up to our south in Atlanta. The Vols picked to finish 6th in the SEC East this season. We want to know what you think on a scale of 1 to 10. Is this just disrespect, a reality check, or is it somewhere in the middle? You can vote now, WBIR.com/vote, or on your WBIR app, and we'll take a look at your answers a bit later in the broadcast.
Also coming up, hemp sees a spike in Tennessee. How local farmers are trying to be leaders in the CBD industry.
Plus, we check in with Todd. He's at this week's Backyard Barbecue. We'll have a look at what he's eating today and those storms we're facing tonight. Thank you, Todd, for the drips. We'll see you in a minute. This year, voters in 5 states can legalize marijuana. That's not on the ballot in Tennessee, where more farmers than ever are growing a close cousin of that plant.
10 News reporter Jim Matheny shows us the state is fertile ground for industrial hemp.
This is not what you think it is. We're not hiding anything, so obviously it's not weed.
Ryan Rush of Maryville spent the last 3 years as part of a pilot program with approval from the state to grow industrial hemp in his backyard. He says most people now understand it's not marijuana, so he spends more time having alphabetical conversations.
Now what I'm more explaining to people is the difference between CBD and THC.
THC causes the high in marijuana, and there is just a tiny fraction of it in hemp. But it's loaded with CBD, something that does not get you high and is the latest trend with the wellness crowd.
Oils, tinctures, capsules, vape products, salves, lotions, a lot of nutritional value and medicinal value.
And the State Department of Agriculture wants Tennessee to be a national leader when it comes to industrial hemp. And in fact, the number of growers in Tennessee has nearly tripled in the last year alone, from 79 to 226.
Anyone and everybody can get a license, $250, $2 per acre.
The reason the state is licensing hemp farmers is to track what works, what doesn't, and come up with the best way to produce an agricultural product that right now does not have a lot of surefire research.
We're basically the guinea pigs for it. You know, you've got some really awesome farmers out there turning over a lot of money where their tobacco farms were dead 5 years ago.
While right now growers are focusing on CBD because it makes money, the state hopes to find long-term ways for farmers to make a profit using hemp for everything from clothes to car door panels. And Rush says he's not worried about competition or an overgrown market.
I love it. More competition, but more attention, more customer base. I think it's great.
In Maryville, Jim Matheny, WBIR 10 News.
Again, the state issues those hemp licenses year to year. Applications for next year start in November.
All right, let's move to your forecast. If you have plans to grill out tonight, you might want to get started because there is some severe weather that's going to be happening overnight. But hey, Todd Howe, he is on it. He's at the Backyard Barbecue.
He is.
Hey, John and Robin, thank you so much. Yeah, we're trying to have that fine balance, right? Certainly on the serious side, we are talking about some potential strong to severe storms coming our way late this evening into the overnight. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. But it is Friday, and right now we got sunshine, and so we're also having a good time. And I hope you're having a good Friday. Let me bring back in Kim Newman. Kim and Jason Newman, the family here. You've got your son, Joey. You want to recognize some boys who've had some hard-earned work, and you want to celebrate today, right?
This is my other son, Josh and Jake, and they're here celebrating with us. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Guys, have you had a good time, Joey?
Of course. Been great.
Good barbecue?
Of course. It's perfect.
Very good. And congratulations to y'all. And that was the reason today to celebrate those here that have graduated, moving on, and just honor them, right?
Yes, sir.
Very
Yep.
good. Very good, Cam. Well, thank you so much. Let me bring in Suzanne Lindsay with Buddy's Barbecue. Suzanne, it's been another successful barbecue. And you know what? One of the other things that you can associate with barbecue, perhaps music. And Buddy's is launching something new this year, right?
That's right. Bluegrass is kind of back, I guess you'd say. We did that in the 70s. It was very popular, and everybody loved it. Well, starting June the 26th, next Thursday, we're going to have bluegrass music at our Bearden location only from 6 to 8. So come in and dine with us, enjoy the music. It's going to be great.
Awesome. Look forward to that. Suzanne Lindsay with Buddy's, thank you so much, and we always appreciate Buddy's. All right, now let's talk about those potential storms. Here's what we're looking at, and we'll kind of break down the overall threats for you, look at the big picture, and then kind of go from there as we take the maps full. Here's what we're seeing again around the region. Here's our severe thunderstorm risk. Notice the greatest moderate risk areas in Kentucky on down into Middle Tennessee, but we do have an enhanced risk area that does include the plateau, and even that slight risk area includes the rest of East Tennessee. Now, it has expanded a little bit more east. That means the threat a little bit higher just compared to earlier. So you see that enhanced risk area. That's the higher risk area. That does include Crossville, Oak Ridge, up to Williamsburg, and back over to Jamestown. Knoxville, and the rest of East Tennessee pretty much. In that lower slight risk area, the main threat will be damaging wind gusts, potentially up to 60 miles per hour or greater, and we could see some large hail and some very heavy rainfall. Here's a look at the storms. They're really starting to fire. They're well to our north in Kentucky. We have a red tornado watch box and a yellow severe thunderstorm watch box. Here's a look as we zoom on in, the very latest. Again, we're still looking at partly cloudy skies across the region. So that's what we're seeing as we walk through your timeline as we go later this evening, 9 p.m. to midnight. Again, that's when we're going to see the best chance for some of these strong to severe storms rolling in. Another wave between midnight and 3 a.m. So again, that's our time frame, 9 p.m. to midnight, and then midnight to 3 a.m., and then things kind of gradually improving as we go later tomorrow morning. Could see some more storms redevelop in the afternoon. There's a look at our severe weather impacts late this evening and overnight. Again, main threat is damaging wind gusts, possibly exceeding 60-mile-per-hour winds. We could see some large hail, and as I mentioned, some heavier showers. 71 tonight with those showers and storms, and then we're looking at those temperatures generally in the 80s. Keep the umbrella handy as we're going to keep those scatter showers and thunder showers possible, even into early next week. So again, on the serious side, we'll keep an eye on those storms for you this evening. Keep it right here. On the lighthearted side, that's a check of weather. Yep, we're going to do it again, John Robin. There you go. I hope y'all are having a great Friday. Be sure to go out and get you some buddies.
Just smearing it over.
Here's what we're going to do this time. There we go. All right. Back to you, John Robin.
You go ahead and enjoy that deliciousness,
Peace.
Todd.
Yeah.
We do appreciate you.
Well, coming up, I know you will, Todd. Thank you. Coming up, we want you to continue voting. How are the Vols going to finish this year in the SEC? We'll look at your answers next.
Plus, a former Vol finds his passion during a trying time, how he's returning to the field to help younger players.
"38 years ago, a man lured 2 teenage girls into the woods. He killed and raped one of those girls. Tonight, we'll hear from the survivor and what she remembers about that violent attack at 11.
Buddy checked in program.
The Heartland Series. It's a good two-legged dog story.
Their service and sacrifice.
Thanks for watching, and have a good night.
And finally, a former Vol is making the transition from player to coach.
Sports anchor Kirsten Susel with the story of a former Tennessee linebacker who discovered his passion during a pretty difficult time. Kirsten.
Well, former UT linebacker Cortez McDowell suffered a season-ending injury during last year's SEC opener against Florida. It was his senior year. But the former Vol is now making the most of a new chapter in his life as an assistant football coach at Clinton High School.
Just the tradition here, the pride here is just amazing. And I think since I've been here, going on to a month now, being a Dragon, and it's probably one of the coolest experiences that I've had.
Former UT linebacker and Georgia native Cortez McDowell has found a home away from home.
Clinton, Tennessee is kind of a lot like home for me. The area that I grew up in when I was in high school is very similar to the Anderson County area, the Clinton area, where our rival is right down the street from us. Everybody knows everybody here, and just wanted to feel like I was a part of something special.
Let's go, Paige, let's go. We're working off you.
Dragons head coach Randy McCamey gets emails almost weekly from prospective coaches. But there was something about McDowell that stood out.
anybody can coach. You can give me a CEO of a business, he can put together a team, but you could tell Cortez loves the kids and he wants, and that's where the kids will fight a circle saw for you. If they believe in you and they see that you care, and that's what he's got, and I think the future is very bright for him.
When I got here to actually have to sit down and talk with him for a little bit, the ball just kept rolling, and I knew this was the place I wanted to be.
It's an exciting beginning to an unfortunate ending. The former Vol realized his passion for coaching after his playing career was cut short.
It was actually when I got hurt my senior year, and I broke my wrist, so I was able to stand on the sideline with a headset and do a little with the coaching staff on the side. That's when it really clicked for me that I really wanted to do that. It was unfortunate that it had to go that way, but I'm here and I'm able to influence kids now. I'm able to do something now that somebody did for me 8 years ago. That's going to be the story that I like to tell.
And McDowell says he's still getting used to giving instructions rather than getting them, but he definitely has a new appreciation for coaching. All right, turning to the SEC, Tennessee offensive lineman Trey Smith was named first-team preseason All-SEC by reporters attending SEC Media Days. He was Tennessee's only representative on the All-SEC teams this year. The honor, of course, following head coach Jeremy Pruitt's comments that Smith will be back with the team for the start of fall camp. And reporters also predicting that Tennessee is going to finish 6th in the SEC East this season as well.
And this is what a lot of you are saying right now. You agree. 7 out of 10 say, yep, this is a reality check year. So they line up with the Riders.
And you have to think, if you really think about what the scenario would be, the likelihood would be Tennessee's going to win one SEC game against Vanderbilt, where that's one more SEC game than they won last year. So they're trying to build off an 0-8 record here with a brand new coach trying to rebuild this program.
Kirsten, thank you.
All right, and that is going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching.
We're on in 2 minutes over on Fox 43 with more local headlines. NBC Nightly News is coming up next.